reports now coming in from there suggest that Nawaz Sharif's party, the Pakistan Muslim League, has said that the decision of the Supreme Court will be implemented despite having reservations. Nawaz Sharif was on Friday dismissed from office by the Supreme Court in the Panama Papers case. With this landmark decision, his cabinet has also been dissolved. The 5-judge bench of the Supreme Court delivered the verdict against Sharif by a 5-0 vote. The court has referred the case against Sharif and his family members to the National Accountability Bureau now. The court said Nawaz Sharif had been dishonest to the parliament and he is not fit to hold office. Supreme Court has also ordered for a criminal case against Nawaz Sharif. Now, before the verdict, Nawaz Sharif held a meeting with his close aides to decide the future course of action. This, remember, is the second time in Pakistan's history that the Prime Minister's tenure has been cut short by the Supreme Court. In 2012, Pakistan Supreme Court dismissed Yusuf Raza Gilani over contempt of court charges after he refused to reopen a corruption case against the then President Asif Ali Zardari. The high-profile scandal was about alleged money laundering by Sharif in the 1990s. Serving as Prime Minister at the time, he purchased properties in London, including 4 flats in prime locations there. The details of his assets surfaced only in the Panama Papers, which were leaked last year. A 6-member joint investigation team set up by the Supreme Court to investigate the charges against Sharif and his family submitted its report to the court in July. On the 10th, the report highlighted the failure of the Sharif family to provide the money trail for its London apartment, suggesting that the Prime Minister and his children own assets beyond their known sources of income. The Apex Court also concluded the hearing of the case on the 21st of July and had reserved its verdict. All right, in fact, joining me right now is WION's senior international correspondent Ramesh Ramachandran. Ramesh, massive implications of what has happened today in Pakistan, but also could you highlight what exactly happened in court and what about Nawaz Sharif's family members? Have they been implicated? What's their fate?
Right. Good afternoon, Sana. So this is what happened at about 12:30 local time in Pakistan when the Supreme Court, the 5-judge bench, met to deliver its verdict in what is known as Panamagate. Remember, it pertains to the leak of documents released by the Mossack Fonseca group operating in Panama. And according to the leaked documents, many heads of state and government around the world were named in those documents, and Nawaz Sharif's family was among one of those cases which came to prominence last year. And since then, we've seen a continuous litigation happen in Pakistan, and the petitioner, among others, was Imran Khan, the leader of the Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf Party, or PTI. He's among the petitioners, and we are waiting to hear from him very soon. We are given to understand that Imran Khan will hold a press conference in Islamabad. That said, just to bring our viewers up to speed with the implications, as you said, Sana, the fact remains that Nawaz Sharif has been disqualified from holding public office for life. And by extension, he cannot even be an office bearer of a political party, namely his own party, the PMLN. So clearly, this is virtually the end of Nawaz Sharif's political career. But that said, we can expect Nawaz Sharif to nominate his successor in the days ahead. But for now, now that he's resigned from the post of Prime Minister, under the Pakistani law, the Speaker will be the next logical successor until a new Prime Minister is elected or selected in this case. So among the probables we are given to understand is the current Speaker, Ayaz Sadiq. At the moment, he is the Speaker, but the leaders are telling WION that Sadiq is among the frontrunners for the post of Prime Minister to succeed Nawaz Sharif.
All right. In fact, interestingly, Ramesh, we have been talking about this for a while now, how Nawaz Sharif isn't directly named in the Panama Leaks case. And in a sense, it's not his own making, but the financial improprieties of his children, so to speak. He is clearly not able to provide the money trail, the account of the money trail. Where did the money come from to buy those expensive properties in London? And that perhaps has become the final nail in his coffin. Talking about this case a little bit more and the implications and what happens, does it have any bearing on India, is also important to be looked at.
Absolutely. Sana, in the last more than 1.5 years since the Panama Papers were leaked, we are given to understand that there were many heads of state or government around the world who were either directly or indirectly named in those documents. And I have a whole list of those people, including leaders from Saudi Arabia, the former vice president of Iraq. We have the daughter of a former Chinese premier. We have the Ukrainian president. We had the son of former Egyptian president Hosni Mubarak. We had the president of the UAE and the emir of Abu Dhabi. We had a friend of Russian President Vladimir Putin, the former emir of Qatar, cousins of several heads of government around the world, and most notably the nephew of the president of South Africa, Jacob Zuma. So many names in those documents, Anna, but as things have it, there have been only 2 casualties so far. First, the Prime Minister of Iceland, who resigned immediately in the wake of the Panama leaks, and now we hear about the resignation after the indictment, as it were, of Prime Minister of Pakistan, Nawaz Sharif. So clearly, Nawaz Sharif's name was not directly mentioned in those documents, but by virtue of the association of his own family in cases of alleged money laundering, now that stands proved. And that has led to his downfall. In fact,
Maryam Nawaz Sharif has just tweeted, her tweet playing out on your TV screens right now. She says today will be... she goes on to say that in the 2018 election, Nawaz Sharif will be unstoppable. And today, she says, paves the way for the next year. Another elected Prime Minister sent home, but only to see him return with greater force and support and soonest. Maryam Nawaz Sharif there tweeting after this big verdict coming out in the Supreme Court. She says today will pave the way for Nawaz Sharif's resounding victory in 2018. He will be unstoppable. Well, let's just quickly play out this recorded conversation with General Pervez Musharraf. He spoke to WION earlier today. Here's what he said.
Pakistan President Pervez Musharraf is with us on the phone line. Good afternoon, General Musharraf. Your first reaction to what has happened and what the courts have decided today?
Well, I'm very happy. The decision is extremely just and very bold. And it's an example for all the politicians who've been misgoverning Pakistan, that they have to beware of the results of mismanagement and loot and plunder and corruption.
Nawaz Sharif and his party is calling it a political conspiracy against them. How do you see that?
Well, that is what, unfortunately, that has become their culture. Whenever they are being, whenever justice is being done against them, they see conspiracies all around. That is absolutely untrue. The whole nation is very clear. The whole nation at the moment is distributing sweets and eating sweets. They are so happy about it. So this is all their family issue. I think earlier they learned that justice has been done and get to the sideline and try to deal with the case that will be initiated now in the Supreme Court from the NAB side, from National Accountability Bureau side, which has been ordered to initiate a reference against them.
Do you want to hedge a guess on who the next Prime Minister will be, who the Sharif family and his party is going to pick?
Well, I can't. I would not like to make a guess. And especially also if I make a guess, maybe it goes against the man. So I better keep quiet.
What do you think was the role of the army here? Because there were 2 people associated with the army in the JIT, so it is being said that the court and the army's tacit support.
Hello, yes, you asked about the army. Sorry, I was distracted a little.
Yes, we want to know your thoughts. Do you believe that the army gave its go-ahead to the courts? How does that work in Pakistan?
No, army was, I think, in the background. I'm not privy to what they were exactly doing, but I know that their role, I think they indirectly conveyed to everyone that they will support the Supreme Court decision. And their force will be, Supreme Court decision has to be implemented. I'm sure they'll back it up.
Is this a victory also for Imran Khan?
Well, to an extent, yes, it is. It is, because he's been the one who's been leading the case against Nawaz Sharif. It is a victory for him.
Nawaz Sharif has been like a phoenix in his political life. He's resurfaced time and time again despite whatever he's faced. But this time he's facing a life ban, a disqualification for life. What does it mean for him politically?
Yeah, I think his political future is sealed. And there is no political future for him now. He's gone. There is no way that he can come back, because he's been so maligned in the minds and hearts of people of Pakistan that he cannot think of returning. There's no question. There's no question. As it is, their victories in the past have been through manipulation of the vote, through manipulation of the system to win elections.
Well, Ramesh, coming back to you, there's no denying that Nawaz Sharif has been a political heavyweight. I mean, it was during his tenure that Pakistan says that there was a marked drop in terrorism, then strengthening ties with China and also the CPEC. I mean, all under his tenure. So, I mean, what happens next? Because as we are looking at things, it's a big victory for Imran Khan. Elections are very close. Is Nawaz Sharif, because the support is there, will he rule through a proxy, or are there chances that the PTI might actually sweep the elections next year? Is that a possibility?
Sana, in the immediate term, in the near term, one can expect him to rule by proxy by virtue of nominating his successor or selecting his successor, if I can put it that way. And that could be from any of the 5 or 6 names that we've been discussing on WION since morning. And we're given to understand that the current speaker of the Pakistani Parliament, Ayaz Sadiq, is said to be the front runner and the most likely candidate to succeed Nawaz Sharif. But that said, Sana, nature does not like a vacuum. So the big question that, that is agitating the minds of many around the world, including in India, would be who would eventually succeed the Pakistani polity, as it were, come the elections next year. Would it be the Pakistan People's Party, or the PPP, which was at one time led by the late Benazir Bhutto? Would it be the PTI, the Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf Party, led by Imran Khan? Or could the PMLN still come back into the reckoning and win the next election? Or will it be some sort of a intervention or a rule by proxy by the Pakistani military? Remember, Pakistan's history has had at least 50% of its time being ruled by the military. And incidentally and ironically, Sana, Nawaz Sharif has, on all 3 occasions that he's been Prime Minister, never completed his full term. He never lasted a full term. In 1993, for instance, he was removed from office. In 1999, again, he was removed in a military coup by none other than President Pervez Musharraf, who WION spoke just a short while ago. And now in 2017, he's been disqualified by the Supreme Court itself. So, but that said, Sana, in the history of Pakistan, no government has completed or lasted a full term, except one, I stand corrected, one government has completed its full term, but most governments have fallen by the wayside. But that said, no Prime Minister has lasted a full term. So clearly, if history is anything to go by, then the writing is on the wall going forward as well, Sana, for all the political watchers in Pakistan and elsewhere.
Absolutely, and also important to point out that this is the first time in Pakistan's history that a leader has been disqualified from office following a judicial process. Well, Ramesh, we'll leave it at that. Thanks so much for joining us here and giving us more inputs on that big story that we'll be continuously tracking through the day.